Welcome to Nordea Asset Management. Today we're talking to Christophe Girondel. Having been here for almost 20 years, it feels like Christophe is omnipresent. He's everywhere doing everything. Christophe is the CEO of Luxembourg for Nordea, but he's also the Deputy CEO for Nordea Global. He's also the CEO for Portugal. He's a member of the ExCo and he's the Global Head of Distribution. Let's go find out more about how Christophe does all of this and how he's everywhere all the time. So today we have this Christophe Girondel, the CEO of NAM Luxembourg and the Deputy CEO of NAM globally. Thank you very much for being with us, Christophe.
You're welcome. I
wanted to ask you about your experience with Nordea. You've been there for almost 20 years now. What has your experience been like? What was your journey to the top like? And what's the secret to your longevity?
I think that, so I started here in the product function, so I was working on product, and then over time, I moved into having a bigger role in the more distribution side, and at some point back in 2006, the head of the distribution or third-party distribution at that time left, and therefore I was asked to take over. So that's what happened back. And then over time, so I've been leading the wholesale distribution of Nordea. And then back in 2014, I was interested with the institutional distribution of Nordea. So now I'm leading the full distribution perspective, which is around 200 people across Europe and beyond. And so the secret, I think, has been that I think it's a very nice company to work with. I think it's something I have been working and building over the years. I got the opportunity at Nordea to try new things, do new things, go into new market, and I think that's probably why I'm still there. Okay. Probably what attached me right now is the people that are here.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you've built relationships over years. You've been working with people for years, and that creates a lot of value.
Yeah, for sure. It creates a lot of value, a lot of I like them, I love them, so I'm here for them as well. So it's very much the reason why I'm here.
Fantastic. When you've been with an organization like Nordea for a couple of decades, there are bound to have been some ups and downs. Can I ask you, what were some of the bigger challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
But so when I took over the role, I had to restructure a bit because we were losing a lot of assets. So that was a tough time because we had to let go some people and we had to reorientate the business. So it's a very tough thing. So that's that was in 2007.
2007, okay.
It's probably the toughest thing you can do, that you have to let go people that you feel are good. But economically you are not successful and therefore you have to adjust your plan. So for me that's the most difficult thing, is to say goodbye to people you like and you are good in, but you have to.
Yeah, I guess every business has growing pains and you have to make tough decisions at points to ensure the viability of the business as well. So no, I understand where you're coming from.
But personally, that's the most difficult thing. Then you have difficult decisions. You take strategic views, and should we more focus on this type of strategies, or should we go there and there? But that's less emotional. That's much more like rational. So that's a difficult decision, but they are not having so much emotional impact. So that's easier, I think.
I understand. The human element always brings out more emotions.
Yeah.
No, fair enough. What's a typical day like in the life of Christophe Girondel? Like, what does the Deputy CEO of Nordea do?
I mean, a typical day is actually, there is not one typical day, so every day is very different in reality, depending on what happens. I would be in interaction with the different markets where we distribute, because I'm in charge of the distribution, so I would kind of interact with the country heads in the different countries. I would interact with my boss quite often, which is a CEO, and we would discuss, more strategically some typical things that are happening. Some of my portfolio managers that we distribute. So you see, it's very much of an interaction, a network work. That is a typical day of that I have. So.
And how did Luxembourg happen? Like, when did you move here? How did the transition work out for you?
So I think I moved here because of love. So basically, my partner at that time, she got a job here. So that's why I came to Luxembourg initially. And I was a bit, when I came here, I was working in a bank before, so I was working at Crédit Lyonnais that doesn't exist anymore, and I was doing corporate banking. And so she had a job here, and so I came here and I said I would do corporate banking. But in Luxembourg there is no corporate banking, or very, very little corporate banking. So very rapidly I understood, okay, that's going to be difficult. Then I went to work for Deloitte and work in the audit and consulting work. Then I did more consulting, and that's where I was starting to be very much exposed to asset management, which is a specialty of Luxembourg, actually.
Got it. So now I understand that you've been in Luxembourg for much longer. You have actually been here for more than 20 years.
Yes.
Okay. Has it been a good experience for you?
Yes, I think it's been a very good experience. I think I love the country. I think it's a country where you have a lot of diversity, a lot of different nationalities, and that makes you richer. So definitely the fact that you have this opportunity to meet different nationalities, that makes us quite special as well in Europe, and also make us richer as humans.
That's such a great story. You moved here for love, and today you've built a success story. No, it's incredible. Very, very good story. In the same breath, can I also ask you, how do you envision your personal relationship with Luxembourg going forward? I know you've been doing a few other positions. You're on the board of Investor Leadership Network. I know you've been integrating. You've been doing a lot locally. How do you envision your personal relationship with Luxembourg going forward?
Well, I must say I have not done as much as I would want locally because of my job where I'm heading the distribution. I'm traveling a lot, so I'm across Europe. Like 2 weeks ago, I was in Latin America. So this means that it's really hard for me to commit to a lot of time here. But I'm part of the University of Luxembourg as a startup mentoring program, and I'm part of that. So that's one of my ways to try to help younger people in Luxembourg to develop their businesses. So that's one way for me to be much in the ecosystem of Luxembourg.
Okay, that's fantastic. I guess being involved with the university also means that you've got a direct vision into the next generation leaders, into what keeps the next generation ticking. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, we are involved in the Luxembourg University. I'm also involved in other university across Europe so I'm teaching in Paris in Sciences Po, and so I'm trying also to get younger people outside of Luxembourg into Luxembourg, and I think that's also a very interesting thing. So teaching to younger generation is something I enjoy a lot. So despite my very, very heavy agenda, I try to do that because I think that's I like to give back actually to younger people.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I think this whole thing about bringing more talent to Luxembourg seems like a very pertinent point in today's discussions. And on that note, I'd like to ask you about what's Luxembourg doing well right now. What strengths do we have that we should leverage to bring in more talent, to bring in more investment, to increase the attractiveness for Luxembourg as a hub for business?
So I think what we are doing well in general is that I think we have been good at developing businesses. So if you speak the asset management industry, we have developed a lot. I mean, technology side, there have been a lot of new business also coming. So I think the country has been quite good at developing activities. However, obviously, attracting young people is more difficult because obviously to get them to come to Luxembourg initially, it's not that easy.
Yes.
Because it's not a big city with a lot of so the country has done well in developing culture, but still we're never going to be a very big city. So I think that's one thing. I think what is really tricky for the young talent is the cost of living is quite high. Yes. So I think we have definitely an issue around, how do we get them access to some, to housing that is not too expensive. So these type of things are actually very important because we might have sometimes, everybody speaks about, Luxembourg having maybe higher salary, but the cost of living is also much higher. So it's not easy for a young person that would come to Lux. So that, I would say, is probably the most detrimental stuff to attract more.
So the cost of living thing is definitely a very pertinent point and has come up multiple times in discussions. Is there anything else you think we can do better as a as a country, as an economy, as a state, as a regulator? Is there something that where we can maybe do better to make ourselves more attractive? It could be for investments, for growth of existing firms, or to bring in talent.
Honestly, I think the government has done a very good job. I also think that the agencies and some of the promotion video that has been done have been really, really good. I think they are very active. But I think it's a bit, probably, yes, we should do more to target universities and get the younger people to discover what is Luxembourg, that it's also a place where you can have a lot of fun. And, I think we probably can do more in promoting the financial center and Luxembourg to younger people in the key universities that we would like to, where we would like to attract them to Lux. I think, that's, and I think, thinking about the housing issue is an important topic because I think that will detract some younger persons to come to Luxembourg, definitely. Especially now where you have a low unemployment across Europe. If you have to pay a very high level for your rental, I think that might say, look, I prefer to stay in another country.
Yes, no, that makes complete sense. I especially love the idea of targeting universities around the continent and trying to make ourselves more known. But yeah, overall, I think that makes complete sense. On that note, can I also ask you about Nordea's plans in Luxembourg? Is there something Luxembourg can do to deepen Nordea's roots here, to help Nordea grow even more vertically or horizontally?
I think we are pretty big. We have a lot of functions in Lux. We even have a research analyst for investment. So we have also typical functions that you would not necessarily find here. So I think we have a quite large range of jobs. So I don't think Luxembourg can do much more to attract more people here. I think it's a very important center for us as Nordea. I mean, our biggest center would be Copenhagen, but the second biggest would be Luxembourg.
Fantastic.
So it's pretty good for us as an asset manager.
Okay.
So.
Okay, great. What we're going to do now is a little bit of a fun segment.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a couple of options, maybe 2 or 3 options, and I'll ask you to pick one in the spur of the moment.
Sure.
All right, let's get started. So you're the CEO of both the Luxembourg offices and the Portugal offices. So I'm going to ask you about the food there. Food in Luxembourg or food in Portugal?
Portugal.
Yeah. All right. Is there something? Is there
fish?
Fish.
Fish.
Great.
I mean, you get fantastic fish.
Yeah. I think that's hard to beat in Luxembourg, given that we don't have an ocean.
Yeah, it's really.
All right. Next up, you are in a hurry to get up to the 3rd floor. Will you take the stairs or an elevator?
Stairs.
Okay, good. This is slightly more. I'm going to put you in a bit of a spot. Nordea has a great ESG portfolio. I'm going to ask you to pick between E, S, or G.
That's a very hard one because it's difficult to pick. Yes. But I would go for S.
Okay. Is there a specific reason why?
Yes, it's because I think there's a less known part of the ESG, and I think there is very interesting investment opportunities there.
Okay, very good, very good. You're going to watch a stand-up comedy show. Would you prefer stand-up comedy in French or German?
French.
French, okay, good. Last question for the rapid fire round. You're at the Schuba Fire. What's the priority for you? The roller coasters or the beer and food?
The beer and food, because I'm sick on the roller coaster. So that was an easy one.
All right, fair enough. Last question before we conclude. I'm going to ask you for some advice. What advice would you give to professionals in the banking industry who are looking for acceleration in their career growth? And in the same breath, I'm going to ask you, what advice would you give professionals who are in a role in the banking industry trying to look for longevity in their careers? How can they find growth in their existing roles?
I think actually my answer would be the same. I think what is important is to be curious. So I think being curious is probably the most important thing if you are young, but also if you are less young, because that's what helps you to grow, develop, discover new things, also discover new opportunities, because being curious lets you understand some career paths that you wouldn't know even if you have been in a position for some time. So I think I think that would be my advice, to be curious.
Fantastic. I think being curious also means that you're opening yourself up to new avenues, new roles, and I guess it keeps you fresh in your organization, allowing you to stay there for longer.
True. Definitely.
Super. Well, thank you very much for your time, Christophe.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate it. This is
You're
great
welcome.
advice and fun conversation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.